Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live, brought to you by NordVPN. My name is Daniel Coe. I'm delighted for the first time in what feels like a lifetime to be joined by the one and only Keith Jackson. Keith, how's it going?
Not bad, Dan, not bad. How's things been?
Good to have you back.
Yeah, you lied nice.
We're also joined by the one and only Michael Gannon, live from Easter Road. Mick, how's it going?
Life from outside Easter Road. I've been kicked out of Easter Road. I was in the press box until about 3 minutes ago, and I said, "How long have I got?" And they said, "About 5 minutes." I better leg it and get outside. But so I'm here. Just about.
So it goes above and beyond, Keith, Mick, to make sure he's there for the Hotline Live.
I've been kicked out of worse places than this. Don't worry about that.
I know. I've been with you. You've actually got it framed quite nice, Mick. To be fair to you, looks the part.
He's a pro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is not my first rodeo.
Well, I mean, Easter Road, I think, is the only place for us to start. It wasn't...
Namely because Mick's there.
Well, I would like to think so.
We'll do that game last. No, it wasn't pretty, but again, I said to you before we come on here, Mick, it feels like every Celtic game right now is a nerve-shredding ordeal. But again, they got there. They got the 3 points.
Yeah, there's not been many games this season for Celtic where it's been 3-0 at half-time and coasting and seeing it out comfortably. It's just not been that kind of season. It's not that kind of team. However, I think you've got to say Celtic find a way to get the job done. Again, it wasn't pretty. At times, it was pretty turgid. They're not very creative, but they found a way to win the game and they rumble on. And the pressure now gets piled on to Hearts and Rangers tomorrow night. It was a nervy kind of game, strange, a very bizarre game. And you turn up today, and there's Hibs fans who are blatantly and obviously saying they do not want to win this game. And by the way, that's exactly. In fact, at half time, we also get to the
half empty, Mick.
Well, the place was half empty. The ones that were here, I genuinely think they were confused or actually just saying, no, I don't want to win the game. I mean, it's weird. We'll get to the contentious kind of goal before half time. But I'm walking up, it's like you walk down to your pie at half time, and there's two guys arguing about the handball, kind of angrily suggesting that the goal shouldn't have stood. They were Hibs fans. And I was like, we've smashed through the looking glass here. We've got Hibs fans arguing about a goal that shouldn't have stood for them. So it's a bizarre, and it was weird. I felt for the Hibs players because by the way, they were not lying down. They were getting stuck in. They're down to 10 men, and they were putting in a shift. Not a lot of energy coming from the stands. The only noise is coming from the away end. Celtic, again, when you're playing against 10 men, I know the assumption is that you just go and win the game quite comfortably. It's not quite like that, because you know what it's like. Because Hibs then go, right, you sit back and defend and try and contain and as best they can. Celtic huffed and puffed. They get the goal, and you think at that point they'll kick on and have a comfortable win, maybe get a few goals, but no, they let in a goal, which is contentious at best, badly defended without a doubt. We can argue about the decision, but it was not very good defensively. A silly free kick given away by Konecki, not defended in the box. The goalkeeper doesn't look too clever. Newell controls it, hooker by Crooks back of the net, and then Celtic spent the next 20 minutes in the second half doing nothing, as they do occasionally in games. They'll have these periods when nothing happens, and it's like, you think you can't expect them to go and get the goal, but you still need to create the goal and find it. And then didn't really create much. And then Ian Atchell comes off the bench and is going to kill this guy in the place. Ball drops to him. He's the one guy with a bit of composure, puts it in the back of the net. But even then, till they don't go in and get a third that would kill it off and make it comfortable. And at the end, there's a bit of panic sets in. So it's a nervy, kind of jittery game again. But Celtic get to the line and just about fall over it, as always, as I think we do most weeks.
The weird thing is, it almost looks as if Celtic, when they go into this lull during a game, it's almost as if they're saying, turn around to the manager, right, you're going to put some subs on here. And there's an expectation that it'll be James Forrest or it'll be Ian Atchell. Somebody will come on and do something, because everybody else seems to have run out of ideas, energy, whatever it is, they've just fallen into this pattern. And 9 times out of 10, by the way, Martin O'Neill is getting results by turning to that bench. I think Celtic, Celtic have had more goals from the bench this season than any other team in the top flight. So that tells you that the manager's doing his job. But you're kind of looking, going, where is the desire? Where's the energy? Why are they so flat? Why does it always require somebody to come on from the bench to be a game changer? And it was, I thought, James Forrest once again started getting it. People started getting the Hibs defence turned on the back foot. And then Ian Atchell comes up with that finish. And that was just a bit of composure, wasn't it? And you've seen Celtic snatching chances. When that one drops to him, he does really well to bring it down. I actually thought the ball had went up so high off his chest that he would have to wait too long, that somebody would snuff him out. But he let it drop on his, left foot, and he just kind of side-footed that away. It was a lovely, lovely finish. But I'm struggling with this Celtic side to understand why it is that the 11 that get put out on the pitch, it doesn't matter what way he slices it and dices it, Martin O'Neill. Very rarely have you looked and gone, that 11, they should go again with that next week.
No, I mean, there's a lot of guys in that team that can't do 90 minutes, so he is having to manage it in terms of Ian Atchell is probably the best player, but can't do 90 minutes, so he's got to stay on the bench and be kept back just in case. But then you look at, I looked at the wide areas today. I thought Taneke and Yang were poor. The deliveries from that were poor. I think Arthur Johnson starting had a major impact. I thought he was terrific, and I thought he set up the goal for the opener. But his driving runs into the box from deep. He's good on the ball. You can see his quality. He's a higher level, but he can't do 90 minutes. So he tired in the second half, and inevitably had to come off. I thought the changes that O'Neill made were interesting because he seemed to put Engels to a kind of right back, right wing back, and McCowan eventually went kind of central, then out to the left. He did try things, and I think it did kind of create a bit more urgency. I thought Forrest was good from the bench, but then you look last week, Forrest started, and I didn't think he was great, and he came off after the hour. So likewise, it seems to be that O'Neill, I think he needs to keep 2 or 3 back for games that are in the balance. He needs a bit of quality kept back just in case if they're not comfortable. And most weeks they're not comfortable, so he needs that quality from the bench. But he's fortunate in that Engels coming back, I think, it's a big deal. I thought he was good again today. Whenever he played, I thought Ian Atchell from the bench was good, and Forrest was good from the bench as well. So he had a bit of that just enough quality to get them over the line. But again, Celtic seem to go through these periods of games when they have 15, 20 minutes of doing literally doing nothing. I looked at my notepad after like 59 minutes, and it's like a good chunk of the second half, and I'm like, I've not got a note written down here. I mean, Celtic are playing against 10 men.
Exact same here, Nick. Exact same.
They're playing against 10 men, and I've not scribbled a single note. See the word you used there,
Mick, see the word you used there for Alistair Johnson and quality. That's exactly right, and I think he's the sort of walking embodiment of all the issues that Celtic have had, because they haven't replaced quality with quality. And when Alistair Johnson, when you see what he brings to that team today, see if your right winger's not having a great game. Chances are, and this was an established pattern of watching Celtic, Alistair Johnson will get down the outside, hit a byline, and set something up, because he'll deliver a quality ball from these areas. And it's all these little bits that get taken out of the team that don't get properly replaced. And when Alistair Johnson, you're absolutely spot on with that. You actually think now, with him coming back at this time of the season, if Celtic are struggling in the wider areas, are struggling to find a creative edge, there's a guy that'll deliver that from the fullback position.
By the way, it's not even just that. I was watching him closely because his first game back. I wanted to see how he looked in terms of fitness. It's not even just on the ball, because at one point he knocked the ball inside and Celtic kept the possession, and he ran about 50 yards through the inside right channel, and he dragged about 3 players with him, and the ball worked out to Yang, and Yang, I think he won a corner kick. Yang's delivery and final ball was non-existent today, really. But the fact that he is driving that run into those areas and dragging players with him, it created space for others.
It just gives the team a different dimension, Mick, 100%.
Honestly, I know people liked Julian Araujo, but he did not have that attacking instinct at all to do that. And you don't. I mean, I think Tony Ralston is a raw deal at times, and he's really solid at times, but he doesn't have that either. Whereas Johnson has got real game intelligence. He's quality on the ball. He's direct. He creates chances himself and for others. I think he is. I mean, getting him back, he's probably not going to be fit enough to do 90 minutes for the rest of the season. But if Celtic can get an hour at him against Rangers next weekend, it might give them an advantage, something to hang on to. And likewise, and that probably could be the final games. I mean, Muller obviously will be a week, then Hearts that final day. He's going to be a big player for Celtic coming up. I mean, if he get 90 minutes at these next 3 games, I don't think he can do 90 minutes in 3 games, but maybe nearly 90 against Rangers, maybe nearly 90 against Hearts. you could maybe rest him against Mull if you have to, or get him on the bench. I don't know. That's to be managed, but he is going to be a key man, because the difference that he makes, I thought, in his hour today and in the 20 minutes last week as well, was huge.
Yeah, and listen, sorry, Dan, but just to hammer home that point, while he's on the pitch today, he wins, or not wins, but he's fouled by McGrath for the red card, which is a game-changing moment in it, and he then sets up the first goal for Maida. So while he's on the pitch, that's the sort of difference that he can make. And I think when you see it today, and you actually sort of take a measuring stick to where Celtic have been this season, and some of the reasons behind that, it's all to do with Alistair Johnson was a player that was brought in and provided real quality, and not enough of the other guys that have come in that space subsequently bring anything like that to the table, which is why Celtic are having such a struggle this season.
We've got comments coming in, guys, plenty of them, and if you're watching at home, get involved in the conversation, let us know your thoughts. This one from Control Alt Lift says, AJ's a breath of fresh air in the Celtic team. As soon as he went off, you can see the difference. He floats into midfield so well, 1 assist away from Tuneki. There's a lot of messages, guys, about the officials that I feel like I should go into, because there's so many of them, Keith. Marzuno says, let's not brush over that disgraceful VAR decision. Don Robertson could have decided the title. John Paul says, refs are trying everything to stop us today. Pathetic. And on and on. I could read out 3 or 4 more. But
can I answer? Unless I'm very much mistaken, had it not been for VAR today, Celtic's first goal would have been chopped off for offside because the flag went up. Had it not been for VAR today, the red card foul, Jamie McGrath's red card foul on Alistair Johnson was treated by the referee on the pitch as a yellow card offence.
A yellow, aye.
So VAR has done Celtic, and by the way, I'm not saying that there was anything contentious. It was just that they were applying the rules properly. Mm-hmm. I get that there's going to be serious consternation over the goal that Hibs score. And I'm struggling with it because it does look very clearly. I don't know how much you've seen of it, Mick, but it does look very clearly as if Joe Newell, the ball clearly hits him on the sleeve, right? Yeah. Now what we've all been told is not an issue, but it does then seem to kind of come down and hit off his forearm before he slots it away. In an ideal world, I don't want any of these, because I don't believe it's deliberate. I don't believe he's trying to do it. It's just a bit freakish. But if the law is what we think the law is, which is if it hits off your arm, accidentally or otherwise, and you then score a goal from that move or that movement, the goal can't stand.
Yeah, that's the rule.
But what I think they were trying to say in the VAR office was they weren't clear that there was that sort of double ricochet, because you can see it hitting the sleeve. I think there was enough evidence to say that it hit off his arm on the way down as well. Difficult one. By the way, Manchester United have just scored a goal against Liverpool. VAR, exact same thing. Shesko comes in for one with the keeper. It stoats up. Think it looks pretty clear. It's as much evidence as there was with Joe Newell that it's gone in off his hand and into the back of the net. And that's just stood as well. So I don't know where I am anymore with understanding the rules or the application of these rules, because there's 2 incidents in one day and 2 big televised games, very, very similar. And you would have thought that neither of them should stood.
I was very surprised that goal stood. I mean, I jumped up to the Sky boys behind us in the gantry to have a good look at it at half time. And to me, the question I would ask if I was an official is, does he control that ball without an arm? And the shape of the move, and it looks like it's rolled down his arm, caught a bit of his wrist as well, and landed in his path. And another tale was that the Sky cameras caught him looking afterwards when it was given. And it looked like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Like, oh! Even the man himself was surprised that goal was given. So that was a poor decision from the VAR guys, because the way that the whole shape of that, the reaction, to me, that goal shouldn't have stood. And saying it wasn't conclusive to me was, I'm not sure. I'm not like buying it. The other ones, you could flip it. I mean, Douglas Ross is 5 yards from the red card and doesn't flag it up for red card offence. Right, he's looking right at it, right? He's also put his flag up to rule out the goal. When these guys are told, chill out with that kind of stuff, the VAR will look at it anyway.
Yeah.
So he's ruling out a goal when he knows he's got VAR to back him up. He's had a bad afternoon, so he's missed a red card and gave a goal.
Plenty of bad afternoons, to be fair, Nick.
So he's been bailed out by VAR twice. Then the decision with VAR for the goal is, to me, looked a bit. I mean, it didn't a bit. I thought it was the wrong decision.
Aye.
There's a call in the second half for a penalty kick. I don't think that was a penalty kick. I know there's hands on the back of jersey. I think the ball's away from that point. I don't think that's a penalty. Later on, so they've not had a good day. And I think they might have got away with it because of the result. I think, listen, you've still got to say Celtic should have enough quality to win that game against 10 men, regardless of that decision, right? Doesn't make it right or acceptable. Still a wrong decision, but they should have enough quality. But they've had a bad day, and I think the fact that they've had a bad day all round with these decisions, it kind of worries you, because we've got huge games coming up. One tomorrow night at Tynecastle. You've got every game now is massive. We really need the guys to be on their game. Like, guys, you're going to need to get this right, because now at the point where every decision is going to have massive ramifications. So please take a breath, get the right decisions, and don't cause a big stushy, please.
Look,
that's all we can ask.
At points this season, we've all wanted to take a baseball bat to VAR and the referees, right? We all have. I was very pro VAR in the first instance, because I wanted us to come in to our game.
It's not VAR, Keith. It's not VAR.
That was my point. I'm about it. VAR did its job today with two key incidents. The third one is open for debate, but with two key incidents: one, Celtic don't get the opening goal, and two, a red card tackle would have been punished with a yellow card. So VAR has actually worked today. That's the safety net we need it to be. Now, we'll argue the toss all day, or maybe we won't, because I think it's fairly landslide. I think people would say the Joe Newell goal probably shouldn't stand. So
it's not really
is what I'm saying.
Well, you can, because you're saying it's worked, but it's not worked. It's worked 66% of the time. It's meant to work 98% of the time. That's the kind of VAR figures. So it's worked 2 out of 3, but you need 3 out of 3.
Yeah.
So next week, when it's the Old Firm are playing and the VAR gets 2 right out of 3, what are we talking about? Are we talking about the one didn't get right? If they don't get one right. So they need to be, things like that have to be hammered down. They need to get, there's too much at stake.
We're never going to get right. We're never going to get it right.
No, but they'll tell us it's 96% accuracy with VAR. That's what it is. When we argue over the 4% of it, it's sort of 10% of it is these days. It used to be much lower. So they are getting decisions that are catching it. I still think the red card should be caught in real time. I still think the offside goal should not be done in real time. So they're two that have been saved by VAR.
But thankfully we do have the VAR safety net, because when it works, it corrects these decisions.
But that's the key.
But imagine the argument we're all having here tonight if these two moments hadn't been caught by VAR. I mean, there'd be riots.
Yeah.
So that's an example of VAR doing its job, albeit we agree the third one probably needs a bit more drilling down into.
Ones like that, they need to get them all. They need to get all those ones. They've got time to look at it. I mean, they take their time with all these things. I just can't fathom how they got to that decision. But just I genuinely, I know. Listen, we get accused of kind of stirring the pot and liking a bit of drama, and we do, right? But I don't want to see titles decided by bad decisions.
Aye.
How were the managers after it in terms of the key decisions, Matt?
Martin Neal was quite cute about it. I mean, he didn't really. I mean, I think he said that his bench had Gavin Strachan had his wee monitor, and they were saying no, that should be disallowed. So he didn't agree with that decision. But I think, like you say, I think because they got a couple that went the other way, he kind of thought, right, fair enough. I think he was just glad to get a victory and get out of Dodge. I think that's Martin Neal's. That's Martin Neal's kind of default every week. Just get the win and get out. And I don't care how it happens or what happens in the meantime. Just get out. No more injuries and get 3 points up the road. So he was quite content. I feel for him, because Martin Neal's what he's like. He admits himself. He's a naturally kind of cautious and nervous kind of guy. And this Celtic team don't half put him through the ringer. I mean, every single week he sits there looking like he's completely exhausted and he's like a nervous wreck. And I actually said to him, I said, "You're going to watch a game tomorrow night?" I says, "Where are you watching?" He's like, "Behind the couch." So even games he's not involved in, he's going to be nervous. So
Mick, did he mention Maeda at all? Because I saw Maeda went off the pitch.
Yeah,
he was showing off his swollen ankle. Is he all right? Or any news?
Somebody stood in his foot. It wasn't. From what I'm told behind the scenes, I think someone's trodden his foot, so it's not. It was an impact thing. It wasn't an ankle strain or a ligament strain. I think someone just stood in his boot. And as you know, these boots these days are like a pair of slippers, aren't they? There's not much protection in them. So I think there's a sore one in Bridges' foot. But I think the chat is he'll be all right.
The other one as well, Ignatius is one of a few people pointing out Hatate couldn't even go off the bench again.
There's a problem there, isn't there? There's a trust problem.
I said that last week, Daniel. I think he's heading for the ballot wish this week. That's 5 games in a row now. He's had 17 minutes across 5 games. There's a problem there. We asked about on Friday, and Neil kind of talked him up a bit and just said it's just the way it's been and stuff like that. But I think there is I think it's a trust issue as well. I think giving the ball away and being a bit haphazard at times is I think Neil's looking for a bit more safety first at this point in the season, and Hatate's a bit more kind of high risk. But I still expect him to see him when you're chasing a game or chasing a goal. You still expect to see Rio Hatate. So that is one to watch. There's definitely an issue I think there as well. Yeah, behind the scenes.
Remember how much he changed the game at Ibrox when he came on? Celtic were 2-0 down. Man in the match, really hauled Celtic back into that. I think that is surprising to me that he doesn't.
Looked at that point after that game as if that was Hatate back and that he'd played his way back in. There was no way he was going to dip back out of the team after the way he performed in that match. But I think quite clearly it points to a situation. I don't know what they're getting or not getting from him at training, but Martin O'Neill's a shrewd judge, and for whatever reason, he clearly has a trust issue with Rio Hatate.
And as Rebel points out, Keith, it's 5 wins in a row without Hatate, so
well, there you go.
Can't he really complain?
Yeah.
Mick, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Hotline Live. I think, Keith, we can let Mick go up the road.
Safe home, mate.
Safe travels.
I'm going to tackle this bypass. Okay.
First thing you're going to tackle is a fish supper before you get into your motor.
Well, we got a salt and sauce while I'm in town here. I got a pre-dinner fish supper. It's always good, isn't it?
The starter.
Yeah, the appetizer before we go up the road for dinner.
Nice one. Well, Mick, safe travels up the road, and we'll see you again on Hotline Live, I'm sure.
Catch you later, chaps. See you later on.
Cheers, Mick.
It's always good having Mick on. With so many comments coming in, Keith. The one that I need to deal with, because there's so many comments coming in on it. Mick mentioned there that he didn't think it was a penalty, but Josh Campbell on Nygren at the start of the second half.
Is that the one where he's trying to see it out for a by kick?
I think so.
I thought there was a bit in that. I was surprised that it wasn't more closely looked at. The replays actually didn't seem to. It didn't show.
No, it didn't really.
It didn't show any great detail. It was a weird angle, but at full speed, I thought it was the pair of them. There was a sufficient distance between the pair of them and the ball. You know, the sort of rule is, and I hate that rule as well, that if you're in control of the ball, then it's not a free kick. It's not punishable. And the amount of times you see that with fullbacks that just see it, to me, there was a sufficient distance, and Josh Campbell is maybe getting round the wrong side of Nygren by that point, and I wondered if his arm hadn't sort of dragged Nygren back. That's the one. What you did get the replay, not the incident itself, but the follow-up to it, where Maida's come in and kicked the ball off. Was that not that flashpoint? And
when they squared up to each other.
Yeah, there was a couple of bookings, Josh Campbell and Scales. So you saw the aftermath, but I don't think I'm not sure that I might have wanted a second look in a steward's inquiry at the initial incident, because I thought he was taking a bit of a chance.
Aye, I mean, a lot of people in the comments, Big Rab has said that a few times now. It was a two-handed push. And John Collins, we've got a story on Record Sport Online now on BBC Radio today, says in reaction to that incident, he said that the VAR team should be sacked, which seemed a bit dramatic to me, but there you are.
He's a dramatic man.
While we're on Celtic,
or something.
While we're on Celtic, what kind of result does Celtic want tomorrow? A draw?
I think a draw has got to be Celtic's ideal result, isn't it?
Probably. Although, do you want Rangers to beat Hearts? Does that make sense? I mean, there's the table. Celtic.
I can't imagine that Martin O'Neill or the vast majority of Celtic fans would be looking at that wanting to see Rangers win. Because for the simple reason, Rangers win, they go into 72 points, just a point behind Celtic and a point behind Hearts. And if Rangers were to go to Celtic Park and win at the weekend, they'd be sitting top with 2 games to go.
Good point.
I don't think that's a scenario that any Celtic supporter would really wish to encourage or see unfold. I think a share of the points there is pretty much the optimum result from a Celtic perspective. From Rangers, it's clear they need to go and win the game.
Yeah. If they don't win it, Keith, are they out of it in your eyes? Pretty
much, because they would then be going to Celtic in the knowledge. So that Rangers would still be on the 69-point mark. If they go to Celtic have the opportunity to tuck them away in that derby. And I tell you, I've written a column for tomorrow about this exact scenario, Dan, and I think there should be a bit of cause for concern with Rangers. As good a job as Danny Raw has done in making them fit for purpose and getting them back into this title chase, and there's no doubt about that, and he's been roundly praised for the job that he's managed to do. See, if you look at his games against the guys, the managers that we're kind of looking at as the best performers, the best operators in the league this season, you're looking at John McGlynn, Askew, Derek McInnes and Martin O'Neill.
Yep.
I think, if I've got my sums right, I think he's come up against a combination of these guys 10 times. He's only come away with 3 wins.
Wow, I hadn't realised that.
And I think that points to, and remember back at the start, Dan, I did say, and I've always felt, and I've kind of maintained my position on it, even though I give him credit where it's due for some of the work that he's managed to do. I've always felt there's an inexperience problem there. I think it's really difficult to go to a club like Rangers and learn on the job. And I always felt that inexperience. Now, when I say inexperience, look, we all know that Germany's like a factory for young, talented coaches these days. The Bundesliga is just spitting them out. We all know that. And some of them haven't had a great deal of experience. But I think if you're going to take on a job like the Rangers job or the Celtic job, you need more than 1.5 seasons at Sheffield Wednesday. You need more in your CV than a 12th place finish in the 2nd tier English football. As good a job and as happy as Sheffield Wednesday fans were with Danny Rowe, I think there's an inexperience issue. And by the way, how do you get experience? So Rangers either believe that this guy will make mistakes along the way, but improve from the mistakes that he makes and become experienced and become better, and use this season that he's had as another bit of experience to build to the picture. But there's also this argument that Andrew Kavanagh, did he really kind of sign £40 million worth of cheques from the transfer market this year to be sitting at the end of it, back where he started?
Potentially finishing third?
Potentially finishing third and with no trophies. And so I think this next period of like tomorrow and then Sunday at Celtic Park, 6-7 days, Danny Raw is reaching a sort of a crossroads here, potentially. I'm not saying, by the way, that Danny Raw will be sacked before the end of the season if it doesn't go his way. I think he's built up enough credit. Certainly the owners seem to trust him. So I think he'll get to go again in the summer, regardless. But I think for his own credibility with the supporters, I think he really needs to post up at least one win from these next 2 games. And he needs to get his selections right, and he needs to get his tactics right. And I've looked at some of the decisions that have been made as this run-in's got all a little bit tighter, and particularly, I know I was on holiday, but I know that he left Mikey Moore out starting 11 against Motherwell.
I think, in fairness, Mikey Moore hadn't trained all week, is what he said.
Right.
But he did bring him on.
And he was still the best player in the park.
He was the best on the pitch, aye.
And Thelo Asgard started.
Yep.
These are repeat concerns for me, which makes me wonder about his judgment and as I said, experience. and he's up against, right? He's up against a couple of sharks in Derek McInnes and Martin O'Neill over the course of the 7-day period. And good luck to him, because I think he's going to need it. But the evidence of these 10 games during which he's only taken 3 wins tends to point to a pattern. And it's a pattern that can't go on indefinitely. And I think if it all blows up for him over the course of the next 2 games, the Rangers fans, well, put it this way, by the start of next season, simply not being Russell Martin won't be good enough for the Rangers fans. And you know, I think when he came into the position, that was good enough. Anybody but Russell Martin was good enough. So he's got to prove, but he is a young manager trying to make his way in the game. He's landed a really big club, a really big job, and there are stresses and strains that come with that, which take a bit of understanding. And I know people will point to the fact, oh, well, he worked with Hansi Flick and he was at Bayern. Yeah, we know German national team. True. Can't say that none of that happened. But what you can say is, in terms of his managerial CV, he's got 18 months at Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And I don't know how that qualifies you as a candidate for the Rangers job, never mind the successful preferred option.
We spoke on Hotline Live the other night, and actually Mick agreed with me when I said this. And it's apropos of nothing. I don't have any insight here. It's just a gut feeling. I think if Rangers finished third, Keith, I think you remember that Danny Rowe wasn't the first choice either. I think he could be in a spot of bother. Honestly,
the difficulty that we'd have from the process of how he was appointed, Daniel, I think, is that he was Kevin Thelwell's man.
Aye. And look how ruthless they were with Thelwell.
Yeah.
Wasn't he working?
And Russell Martin.
And Russell Martin, of course, aye.
But I do get the sense that Andrew Kavanagh has a decent working relationship with him, and I think he's been impressed.
Yeah.
Simply, I think he's been impressed, but using the wrong metric. I think he's probably been impressed on the basis that I don't think it could have got any worse. So he's made them a bit more organised. They've obviously got a string of results. But I think in the big tests of Danny Rowe, the real serious tests of his acumen as a coach, I think he's come up wanting. Now, this would be the ideal time. The flip side of that is, well, I'll tell you what, if he goes to Tynecastle, outmanoeuvres, outsmarts Derek McInnes, and follows that up by going to Celtic Park and doing the same thing to Martin O'Neill, not only does everybody look at him and you know, say, this guy is 100% the answer, he's probably also on the verge of winning the title at that point as well. So that's why I say crossroads, and I think these are important moments for him. That's
him on the phone now. Yeah. Your loyal Muppet says, I hope Rowe makes you eat your words tomorrow night. And who knows? He could do.
Maybe he will. I'm just saying that it's starting to look like a pattern where he's getting outsmarted. He's maybe not making the right decisions. And I think Rangers fans, if they're being serious about it, would have to look at that and see, you know, there is potentially an issue there. But as I said to you, listen, if he goes there, gets all his decision making right, gets his team selection right, gets his tactics spot on, and he comes away for Hearts with 3 points, well, it's totally game on for Danny Rowe at that point.
Aye, big time, aye. Well, let me visit the comments one more time, Keith, because we've got so many coming in. Big Rab says, stop talking nonsense. Rowe will be there next year no matter what. His win rate is 60%.
I've just read that.
Kieran, though, says they've spent a fortune, well more than Celtic and Hearts. He should be well clear. And on tomorrow night's game, Peter Ferguson says, why would Celtic want Hearts to gain a point? Rangers are serial bottlers. P. McLaughlin says, Hearts play twice before Celtic kick another ball. 1 point for them would be great encouragement for us. Marzuno says, anything but a Hearts win, but a point for Hearts can make all the difference to them. And this one, McKenna says, if Hearts win tomorrow, I think we win the title. Which is a big shout with some big games still to come.
You know that I've been riding the big maroon horse now for consistently over a number of weeks when other people are wanting to jump halfway through the race. I must admit, for the first time, I'm starting to look at Celtic coming up in the rails and I'm going, it's just, is this fated? Is this old Martin O'Neill fairy tale meant to end in a certain way? because on what the evidence of your own eyes, you're looking at it, you're saying they're just not anywhere near championship winning material. Again, you saw more evidence of it today, and yet game by game, week by week, he just keeps putting three more points on the board, and he's now in this situation where he could end it with a league and cup double.
That's astonishing if he does that.
It is astonishing, and especially when you consider, right, so the first sort of remit for Danny Rowe, 100%, Andrew Kavanagh would have said, cut that gap. You don't need to win the league title this year. I don't think that would have been a realistic demand, but cut the gap, make the gap smaller, show signs that we're going in the right direction. And he has done that, there's no question, because they're right in Celtic's rear view mirror going into this final kind of furlong. Sorry, I'm mixing my analogies horribly there. But the point being that, Wilfred Nonsi was in the driver's seat, spent a whole month in reverse. So what part has that played in this gap closing?
Yeah.
And what part has the sort of ineptitude that Celtic's board have displayed in the transfer market, what part is that? That's played a part.
Yep.
However, how does that get fixed? Because if it's the same guys making the same mistakes this summer, then that gap, who knows where it goes? It's actually becoming impossible to predict. You're even looking at a potential situation now with St Mirren, who are in a nosedive.
I know.
So they go to Hampden, have one of the greatest days in their history, and get relegated in the same season, potentially.
That would be, crazy.
So this is the strangest season that I can remember. And I think it will probably get more bizarre before it's over.
Rebel wants to know if you've got a fly tenner on Celtic, now that you see them coming up the rear.
Coming up the rear? Coming up the rear. No, I don't. I'm not a betting man anyway.
Of course.
Listen, I'm a fear. So I'm on the big maroon horse, and I feel my saddle getting a wee bit slippy. Yes, and I'm looking over just to see there's another one that I might possibly be able to jump on. Possibly.
Peter says Keith's back in Celtic. It's the curse no one wants to hear.
That's a fair point.
Well, look, that pretty much. In fact, I'll put up the results from the weekend. You mentioned there St Mirren 1-0 defeated Dundee. Kelly, big win for them over Dundee United.
But not unexpected.
And Falkirk as well, beating Motherwell. Yeah. Falkirk have had Motherwell's number this season, like big time.
Well, John McGlynn, we're talking about guys being tactically astute. John McGlynn, I think he came up against Bertolascu for the first time, and for 45 minutes his team was played off the pitch, just like everybody else has been played off the pitch. John McGlynn changed Falkirk's entire system in a half-time interval to make them more difficult for Motherwell to play against.
Yeah.
And he's kept to that all the way through.
Yep.
That's good management. That's experienced management. That's the sort of issue that I'm talking about when, I would need to be convinced that Danny Rowe could do something similar. And he's going to have to do it because he's going to have to come up with a system and a selection to keep Rangers in the race tomorrow. And then try and do something similar at Celtic Park. Big asks.
Well, I mean, we'll be back tomorrow night with a slightly later show. Obviously, it's a 5:30 kickoff. I think we'll be on air about 8 o'clock, Keith, if that's okay. Not quite a pyjama party, but it's getting there.
No, but 8 o'clock is very civilised. That's no problem.
Aye, that's all right. How do you see it going?
I think because I can't sit here and say I have certain misgivings about Danny Rowe and then say Rangers will win 2-1. I've also backed Hearts consistently. I'm fascinated to see it. My gut tells me that Hearts were home advantage and they've been so strong at Tynecastle. I think Hearts will get the result they need, which will be a win. I think it'll be really tight. And I just think that Derek McInnes will have the edge in terms of, on the sidelines, key decisions at key moments. I think he's. I do think that is a real strength that Hearts have got on their side. Don't know how much there is between the two groups of players, which is a massive compliment to Hearts when you consider how much their squad costs compared to the Rangers squad. I don't know if there's massive differences in quality, but again, I have come back to the fact, I think if you look down the spine of that Hearts side, you've got partnerships and pairings that I think compare favourably to either of the Old Firm teams.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, definitely.
And I think that coupled with home advantage, I'm going to go a 2-1 Hearts win.
Your low them up, it says 2-1 Rangers, and Peter says it's going to be game of the season. I know we said that a few times, it's going to be a cracker, and it's maybe not worked out that way. I think tomorrow night is going to be an absolute doozy. I think it's going to be brilliant.
Do you know what? I've given up predicting. I really have. Look, I had a fair idea that Bayern versus PSG versus Bayern was going to be a decent watch through the week, and it did turn out to be that.
It did deliver.
This could be absolute 90 minutes of mayhem and chaos and blood and thunder and everything that's great about Scottish football, or it could be you punch first. No, you punch first. It could be either of these extremes. Really cagey, difficult watch, not entertaining, or the complete opposite, mayhem. But as I said, I'm really struggling here to know what comes next. So we'll see.
Marty says, I'm a Celtic fan for the first time in my life. I'll be cheering on Rangers. It's that kind of season. John Mott says, get the popcorn ready. McKenna says, 3-1 Hearts. Rangers will go down to 10 men. And Kenneth wants to know, it's 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And I think that's probably the perfect place for us to wrap up, Keith. Sunday night's Hotline Live brought to you by NordVPN. Thank you so much for all the comments. Massively appreciate it. And as I said, we'll be back after tomorrow night's game at 8 p.m. We hope you can join us then. Keith, it's good to have you back.
See you tomorrow, Dan.
Thanks very much for watching. Hope you can join us tomorrow. Cheers.